still struggling to come to terms with the tragedy. Several senior provincial officials are expected to attend the memorial to offer condolences and pay their respects to the bereaved families. Meanwhile, police say investigations into the crash are continuing, with the possibility of further arrests not ruled out. Monke Zikoko, Eyewitness News, Sebokeng.
We move to the Eastern Cape, where a social worker is currently on the stand testifying at the pre-sentencing hearing of EFF leader Julius Malema in the We move to the Eastern Cape, where a social worker is currently on the stand testifying at the pre-sentencing hearing of EFF leader Julius Malema in the East London Magistrates Court. The social worker, who cannot be named or filmed, is presenting a pre-sentencing report in relation to Malema's firearms discharge case. Malema is appearing in court today after being found guilty of violating gun laws in a case stemming from a 2018 rally in Mdantsane, where he was seen on video firing shots into the air during the event. The report provides the court with relevant information about the accused and his personal circumstances to help determine an appropriate sentence. The social worker has highlighted Malema's background as well as the well-being of his family.
The household endured significant financial hardships, subsisting of his grandmother's social grant, his mother's earnings from domestic work, and occasional income from his aunt's temporary jobs. The accused and his cousins were raised together in this environment, learning from an early age to share the limited resources available to them.
She adds that Malema is remorseful but still insists he'll still appeal his conviction.
The accused entered a plea of not guilty to all the charges and, following his conviction, continues to assert his innocence, stating that only a toy firearm was used for discharging the celebratory shots. He has publicly declared his intention to appeal the verdict.
We move to the Western Cape, where Franschhoek farmers and agricultural workers assisted firefighters throughout the night last night to battle a mountain fire raging in the region for more than a week. Cape Winelands District Municipality spokesperson Joanne Otto says in the early hours of this morning, the raging blaze approached properties in the area.
Firefighting teams responded rapidly and through immense effort managed to push the fire back into the mountainous areas. This prevented the fire from crossing into new areas on the opposite side of the road and ensured the protection of guest houses and farms in the area.
Otto says the fire is still active and the Franschhoek Pass remains closed to traffic.
Teams will be deployed into accessible areas this morning, with efforts focused on bringing the active fire line under control. Ground teams and fire crews continue with monitoring and mopping up operations in all other affected areas.
Cigarette manufacturer British American Tobacco believes criminal syndicates dominating the industry may be protected by the powerful. It says this could be the reason why the illicit trade of cigarettes is hard to clamp down on in the country. The company plans to shut down its local manufacturing plant after 5 decades operating in South Africa at the end of this year. Speaking to 702 earlier, spokesperson Joni Moloto said the company has done everything possible to avoid closure and the associated job losses. He added that illicit cigarettes now account for 75% of the market, a situation he described as unimaginable in most industries.
Maybe there are bigger forces at hand here, that these guys are protected. They're protected by very powerful people, because it's unimaginable that in any other industry you would have a similar situation and you would not act against it. But because, tobacco is probably an easier target and nobody will stand up for tobacco and defend tobacco except us in the industry.
And Singapore has claimed the top spot for the world's most powerful passport. Your passport dictates how many countries you can access without a visa. Every January, law firm Henley & Partners puts together an international passport index, which the firm claims to be the original and most authoritative ranking of its kind. In second place is Japan and South Korea. Fourth is Luxembourg, Denmark, Spain, Switzerland and Sweden. The United States has come in at number 10. Gold's trading at $4,920.92 an ounce. The rand's at 16.15 to the dollar, at 21.85 to the pound, at 18.95 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $64.59 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're traveling through the Sandton area, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on the M1 southbound between Greyston Drive and Ethel Oaklands. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is in the Edenville area, R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange, and in Benoni, Brakpan, slow-moving traffic. This is on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones.
A look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy Friday in Gauteng today with isolated afternoon thunder showers expected. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 30 and 31 degrees. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in the mother city today with fresh southerly winds at a high of 27 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. Friends and families of the 14 pupils who lost their lives in a tragic scholar transport crash in Vanderbijl Park have gathered in Sebokeng for a joint memorial service.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. On the show today, the EFF descends on the East London Magistrates Court for Julius Malema's firearm discharge sentencing. The Constitutional Court hands down its decision on whether Ace Magashule PA was extradited constitutionally. A memorial service underway for the Vanderbijl Park 14. The under fire Ekurhuleni mayor is briefing the media. And it's Friday, so sports and good things too. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Good to be back with you today. My thanks to Jane Dutton for standing in for me this week. We'll take you to that memorial service currently underway. Did you hear what the president said about scholar transport the other day? I was rocked. In 2026, the president is saying we inherited a system. When it comes to scholar transport, we have to step in as government and relook. We inherited a system. In 2026, 31 years into democracy, I couldn't quite believe that he had used that line. So we'll speak to our reporter who is at that memorial service underway. But I think the big focus today, all the attention is on the East London Magistrates Court, where Julius Malema's firearm discharge case, the sentencing arguments in aggravation and mitigation of sentencing currently underway. A huge amount of support for Julius Malema today. Many EFF people, but also a bit of a gallery of rogues, all kinds of people there to support him. He's bolstered his legal team. He's brought in Silk Tembeka Nkatobi to join another Silk in Lawrence Hodis. So he's really firing up with his legal team. But let's start by speaking to our reporter, Alpha Ramoshwana, who's there for us. Alpha, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. Let's start with outside court today and just the kind of people that are there to support Julius Malema. Tell us about who's there.
Good afternoon, Mandy. Yeah, it's a really big, large and supporters who have come out in their numbers to support their leader, Julius Malema, who is appearing in court for pre-sentencing today. I mean, yesterday when I arrived in East London, Mandy, I could count more than 30 buses that were parked outside my hotel, and there were many others that were parked across East London and other places of accommodation. Even in the flight that I used at about 11 o'clock in the morning yesterday, the flight was packed with EFF supporters. So it's really a large crowd that have come out in their numbers. Inside the courtroom, which is where I'm currently at, the EFF's top leadership is here. There is Malema's family members, Malema's uncles and aunts, and a number of his grandmothers who are here as well, sitting in the public gallery, as well as members of the EFF provincial committee. So it's a really large crowd that have come out to support their leader today, Mandy.
Now, inside court, argument is being made in aggravation and mitigation of sentence. Take us through what's been said.
So a social worker that was brought in by the defense has been testifying. Her name is Jessie Thompson. She is presenting her evaluation on Julius Malema. And this is important because the pre-sentencing report which she compiled provides detailed information about Malema's mental health, his social well-being, his family and his background. And this is considered when the judge gives a sentence to Malema. So she recommended a sentence to the EFF leader, and we're going to talk about it. But for now, let's take a listen to some of the things she had to say about Malema's background.
It is important to highlight that should the accused receive a custodial sentence exceeding 12 months without the option of a fine, he will be rendered ineligible to serve as a member of the National Assembly. This disqualification will persist for 5 years following the completion of the sentence, thereby restricting his ability to represent his constituency during this period. The accused enjoys notable support within the South African society, with many subscribing to his philosophy and expressing confidence in his leadership within key institutions such as the National Assembly. His removal from office would inevitably create a void for the communities he represents, potentially diminishing their voices and the hopes he has consistently championed on their behalf.
So, Alpha, what is at stake then for Julius Malema here? There is the possibility of a custodial sentence, so he could go to prison. He may not go to prison. Is there a sense of gravity there?
So that is part of what was in the evaluation of the social worker, and she's made her recommendations saying that looking at the types of charges that Julius Malema was facing and his conviction, she does not think that it would be appropriate to send him to prison. In fact, she's recommended that Malema be sentenced to a fine and not necessarily a direct imprisonment. She also recommends that Malema should undertake community engagements and form a foundation which will speak against the violation of gun laws. And it does have some political implications, Mandy, on Julius Malema, because Section 47 of the Constitution states that if anyone is sentenced to more than 12 months in prison without the option of a fine, they are automatically disqualified from serving as a member of parliament. And that disqualification would last for 5 years. So if he's given such a sentence, he will have to lose his seat in parliament, and the EFF's leadership in parliament will also have to change. And speaking on the witness testimony today, she made that point. The social worker, Jessie Thompson, made that point that Malema is followed by a number of people and is playing a significant role for the EFF in Parliament, and says that it would not be appropriate at this moment to give him a fine that would disqualify him from serving as a member of Parliament. Let's take a listen to what she said in her evaluation.
After a thorough assessment of the accused's personal circumstances, the seriousness of the offences, societal interests, and relevant legislation and case law, the following sentencing proposal is made. Impose a fine that reflects the gravity of the offences, with the fine suspended to encourage continued lawful behaviour. Restrict the accused from obtaining a firearm licence for a specific period as an ongoing deterrent. Require the accused to make a monetary donation as restitution to Gun-Free South Africa, an NGO focused on reducing gun violence in South Africa.
Alpha Ramashwana, EWN reporter, speaking to us there from the East London Magistrates Court. It's been interesting to see a number of those people supporting Julius Malema, even somebody like Dr. JJ Tabane, who's been at court today, speaking about how Julius Malema is being vilified, that he's being targeted by the courts, that the court system is inherently racist. What are your thoughts on this? Do you believe that the court system is inherently racist, that it is fundamentally flawed? Or should this just be a matter about did he discharge that firearm or not? There's video footage. It shows him discharging the firearm. Is it as simple as that, or is it more nuanced? Is it more complex? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
The Constitutional Court has just handed down an important ruling when it comes to a big corruption matter. Ace Magashule's former PA, Murawadi Cholota, her extradition was before the court today. Remember, she was extradited to South Africa from the US in 2024. Last year, the High Court in Bloem ruled that the extradition was unlawful and unconstitutional, and today's ruling could set a precedent for other extradition cases. Khomotso Modise, EWN reporter, is at the ConCourt for us. Khomotso, firstly, take us through the ruling, and then, of course, you've got lots of reaction there too.
Yes, that's right, Mandy. Well, Constitutional Court just handing down that ruling around the extradition of two cases, the one being that of Murawadi Cholota and the other of Jonathan Schultz. And of course, we know that what happened in the High Court and how the judgment that was handed down in the High Court last year, was hinged quite a bit on the Jonathan Schultz matter. At the heart of it, Mandy, was, who has the power to request the extradition of a person from another country into South Africa for prosecution. And what had happened with Cholota as well as Schultz is that extradition request was done by the NPA. The argument that had been made by her lawyers, which ultimately saw the High Court ruling in her favor last year, was that that is unlawful and it had to be the Minister of International Relations or a member of the executive. Now, today, the Constitutional Court, Mandy, has ruled that while it is true that extradition was unlawful, it does not mean that the High Court does not have jurisdiction to continue and prosecute Cholota for those charges. So it's really bittersweet. While, the court agrees with her that her extradition was unlawful, her matter has now been sent back to the High Court, Mandy, for that special plea that was made by the NPA to continue. But joining me is Cholota's lawyer, and he's been here really taking notes. And Ndalepi, thank you so much for your time. Just start with your initial response. You say you don't feel like it's a setback. It does sound like a setback to me because it means you head back to the High Court to continue arguing for your client's freedom.
When we approached the High Court and raised our special plea, we had numerous points or grounds in which we challenged the extradition. And one of it, we relied on Schultz's case. And this court today reaffirmed our position in as far as where the power lies. But the High Court judge only focused on the Schultz case to make a ruling in our favor. Hence, this court today remit this matter back to the High Court so that we can look into the other grounds that we have raised. And we're looking forward to that. The trial within trial will commence de novo on Monday, and we're ready to proceed.
And doesn't this delay the entire trial? Of course, we know that the matter was supposed to continue with trial on Monday. We were expecting more testimony on Monday in the asbestos matter, the main matter here. But now you're bringing this case back to that court on Monday.
We're not the one who brings this matter back. This court is taking the matter back to look at the other point. We thought we had argued sufficiently, and that is why Judge Lopes ruled in our favor. But this court felt the matter should go back so that we can deal with other grounds. So we're looking forward to that. In as far as the other matters concerned, I can't comment on that. We are here for Ms. Cholota and to make sure that the rights are protected, and we will do so until the end.
And you keep speaking about these other grounds that are going to be explored in the High Court. Of course, I think that's going to form a lot of your arguments in the High Court next week. What are those other grounds?
The manner in which the officials that were sent to the U.S. to interact with our client, Ms. Cholota, the manner in which they conducted themselves. One of the grounds was that there was a mental torture. And you will know that torture, it violates our client's rights. So therefore, we're going to ventilate that on Monday, and we're confident that we're going to succeed.
Mandy, that was the lawyer for Muradi Cholota, Pete Tebane, who's been here in court. But I'm walking towards the NPA's Mthunzi Mhaga, who is the spokesperson of the NPA. He joins me now live. Mthunzi, what's your initial response to this judgment?
Well, so far as Cholota is concerned, we are vindicated in the sense that we've argued, and that argument has been affirmed here, that it engages the jurisdiction of the court. And as such, the Honorable Judge was wrong and erred in dismissing the entire case based on the fact that the extradition is unlawful. It is now confirmed as being unlawful. Yes, we accept that, but now we are ready to prepare and have the matter adjudicated. And our prosecutors will mount a very meticulous prosecution strategy to ensure that the issues that are outstanding are ventilated to our favor. Insofar as Schultz is concerned, yes, it's disappointing in the sense that our application for condemnation for filing late was dismissed because they found that our grounds were not sufficient. However, it is a homework for us. It's a task that we need to undertake to look at the legal implications in those cases that were affected or may be affected by the judgment, because remember, now it's a set law that it's the national executive that applies makes the request, not the NPA. So that's a matter that we need to look at.
Mthunzi, is this not an indictment on the NPA's practices? I mean, the court really saying that it is not the work of the NPA or the task of the NPA to apply for extradition, but it is the work of a member of the executive, any member of the executive. Surely the NPA has been doing these applications for extradition for a while. It sounds like an indictment to me.
It's not an indictment because it has been South Africa's understanding of how the process is until the Supreme Court of Appeal raised it and pronounced on it, which we brought it here to the apex court. It's a constitutional issue that talks to the powers of either the executive or the functionary. So it can never be an indictment when it has been practiced, it has been what we understood to be legally sound.
Mandy, that was the NPA spokesperson, Tunzimaga, and what happens now is it goes back to the High Court, and Charlotte will continue to fight for her freedom.
Khomotso, thank you so much. Excellent breaking news, extensive coverage there from Khomotso Modise. You've got a summary of the judgment, reaction from Chiloto's lawyer, and reaction from the National Prosecuting Authority as well. All in a nutshell in 5 minutes on the Midday Report. So Khomotso, thank you so much for doing that. So you've heard it all now. I'd love to hear what you think. Give me your view on how the NPA has dealt with this and being called into question there, the way that the NPA is dealing with extraditions. And the point that Khomotso makes is, we've attempted to extradite many a person. So in some cases they've got it right, with like George Luca, with the Guptas they haven't. Is there something to be said about the process of extradition here? The NPA positing this as a victory. I think it's a bit of both. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Got big dreams for 2026? New goals, new adventures, new car? Don't wait. Let's jumpstart your January with up to 75,000 Rand cash back when you buy selected quality pre-owned cars from participating Motor Select dealerships nationwide. Don't wait for life to happen. Make it happen with Motor Select. Deal ends Saturday, 24 January. Hurry to motorselect.co.za now. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Afternoon, Mandy. JJ Tabane is a bitter former broadcaster. Nothing to take serious of him. Secondly, Julius Malema is not remorseful. With all what his so-called social worker has said, you would expect him to do better. There's lots of people who grew up in far worse environments, and they don't behave in the manner that Julius does. Now he's turned the Eastern Cape High Court into a political rally. Because he realizes now his political career might temporarily suffer by being barred as an MP. So Julius Malema needs to take account.
From Centurion. So my perception on your comment is justice needs to follow justice. I mean, if it was any one of us who are not in politics to have discharged a firearm in a public space, we would have been handed a severe sentence. So I do find it a little bit unfair that your political position can actually protect you from getting a sentencing.
But haven't we seen this happen so often in the past? So Jacob Zuma is a prime example of this. When somebody is accused of a crime, they are being prosecuted based on the facts before the court. It becomes a political issue. It becomes a case of the system being corrupt, that the system is inherently racist. And I'm trying to keep an open mind here. My lived experience is different to a lot of yours. So I do want to try and understand this. I'm really trying to get my head around it. Because for me, the criminal justice system is based on fact, right? It's on evidence before the court, and the court found, based on the evidence, that he discharged the firearm. But his supporters are saying that the system is fundamentally racist towards people like Julius Malema, like Jacob Zuma, And is this the case? Has that been your experience? Do you feel that the criminal justice system is biased in some way or another? Or is this a case of Julius Malema just turning this case into a political rally? It smells, everything about it looks like a political rally. And he's learned. I mean, MK did this so well in the campaign up to the national elections, where they used court cases around their identity and their brand and their name to canvass. We're in a local government election year. Julius Malema is doing the same. And even on the shirts, people are some of the slogans have been against AfriForum. AfriForum is using this as well against Julius Malema. Is it more complex, or is it just straightforward that it's just about whether he discharged that firearm or not? Sipho says, Mandy, it's not difficult as people like JJ are riding on Malema for relevance. He did fire the gun in public. What would have happened if the shot landed on one of his supporters? From Sipho. So let me know what you think. Am I missing something? Is it my lived view, that experience that is different to Julius Malema's? Educate me. Or is it just about the evidence before the court?
702, the Midday Report, Monday to Friday,
12 to 1 p.m.
There's been a lot of focus on Ekurhuleni in the Madlanga Commission and policing, particularly on Dr. Kakaza, who is the Ekurhuleni mayor. So he's holding a briefing today following the first mayoral committee. Tabiso Goba is there for us. Tabiso, good afternoon to you. We know the mayor is under some pressure, lots of allegations being made. How much of the focus is on that, and how much of it is on actual day-to-day running of that metro?
Good afternoon, Mandy. I will say that the focus is on the day-to-day running, as this media briefing was supposed to start at 10 a.m. and unfortunately it just started about a few minutes ago as I just stepped out to obviously speak to you. The mayor saying that, he was held up in the back to school service delivery protest, and he had to attend to that before obviously coming to this media briefing. But before I stepped out, Mandy, the mayor did touch on those allegations. We know that News 24 recently released a news report placing the mayor at the scene of a DJ Mfihlo, who was allegedly killed by the same person that also killed Mpho Mafole. Mpho Mafole being the head auditor at the city of Ekurhuleni, who was killed obviously because of what he was investigating. Now, the mayor has responded to himself and said that, a lot of these reports that are coming out from News 24 and other media houses, he says there's a smear campaign against him, and that these are ongoing investigations, and that, the police should be given space to do their work. And for his side, he's saying that, he has never he categorically stated that he's not involved in any of the murders, whether that's for DJ Mfihlo or for Mpho Mafole, the former auditor of the Ekurhuleni municipality. In terms of the Madlanga Commission, Mandy, as you do know that Julius Mkhwanazi, I think, is still the former EMPD head of the Metro Police here in Ekurhuleni. I think he's still testifying in Parliament. You'll know that there were those allegations around the improper promotion of some of EMPD officers. What the mayor has said is that there has been a review. They have conducted IPED, and a report has been prepared, and that report will be tabled to council next week, Thursday, and that report obviously can't be made public until it's been tabled to council. But that is also in relation to the 667 million rand chemical pits toilet tender. This is allegedly the tender that Mpho Mafole, the former auditor, was investigating prior to his death. And that irregular tender, a report has also been prepared and will be tabled to council. So the mayor actually, sort of hitting back, Mandy, as you said, there has been a lot of speculation, a lot of reports, and he is under fire. So coming back and saying that, he feels that there is a smear campaign against him and that he has nothing to hide, and that those reports will be made public as soon as they are tabled before council next week, Thursday. And either me or my colleague Alpha Ramashwana will attend that council meeting and will report on those as they become public, Mandy.
Tabiso, thank you very much. Tabiso Goba, EWN reporter, speaking to us there about the Ekurhuleni Mayor, Dr. Kakaza, holding a media briefing at the moment. 12:30, time for Eyewitness News headlines.
Thanks, Mandy. We begin with news just in. The former personal assistant of former ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule has suffered a setback in the Constitutional Court with her prosecution sent back to the High Court. The court has delivered judgment on the NPA's bid to appeal a High Court ruling that found Moradi Cholota's extradition to be unlawful. Delivering his first judgment in the Apex Court, Justice Dustin Mlamba ruled that while Cholota's extradition was unlawful, it does not mean the High Court has no jurisdiction to prosecute her. Cholota is facing corruption and money laundering charges related to the Free State asbestos scandal involving Magashule and tender tycoon Edwin Sodi. In the Eastern Cape, it has been recommended that EFF leader Julius Malema receive a suspended monetary fine rather than direct imprisonment following his conviction for violating gun laws. The recommendation was made by social worker Jessie Thompson, who presented the defence's pre-sentencing report in the East London Magistrates Court today. Malema is appearing for pre-sentencing proceedings stemming from a 2018 EFF rally in Mdantsane where he was recorded firing shots into the air. And Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen is set to visit Greenland's capital, Nuuk, today for talks with her counterpart after a turbulent week that saw US President Donald Trump back down from his threats to seize the Arctic island. Frederiksen will travel to Nuuk from Brussels, where she held talks earlier today with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who reached a purported deal with Trump in Davos this week on Greenland. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 1 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Tolagile Mganga. Day 6 of the Australian Open has seen Carlos Alcaraz, Ina Sabalenka and Coco Gauff among the big names through to the fourth round. The world number one will next face teenager Victoria Mboko, who ousted Clara Towson in 3 sets.
I've never played a current number one in the world, so that's going to be a very different experience. I assume we'd be playing on Rod Laver as well, so I've never played on a Grand Slam center court either, so a lot of firsts. I'm just really excited. It's something not many people get to experience. To be doing that on Sunday is, I think, really cool.
Local football will be split this weekend with 5 games scheduled in the Bedway Premiership, including Sekhukhune United at home to Orlando Pirates. In the Confed Cup, Kaizer Chiefs and Stellenbosch in action, while Mamelodi Sundowns tackle Al Hilal in the Champions League. With the Brazilians top of Group C, Dennis Onyango has called on them to secure the 3 points needed that will edge them closer to the knockouts.
10, 11 points, you guaranteed qualification to the knockout stages. But to do that, you need to win your home games, and the boys know that the task ahead is very important. Very difficult game, very difficult team, Al Hilal, with a very strong team that was mostly 90% at the AFCON, so they know each other, they know themselves very well, but we know what to do at home. At Loftus, we just need to win and make sure that the team goes to the knockout stages.
And at the SA20, the Paarl Royals will play the Sunrisers Eastern Cape for a place in the final. The Royals made it through after beating the Joburg Super Kings by 36 runs in yesterday's eliminator. And the winner of today's clash will face off with the Pretoria Capitals in Sunday's final. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, driving through Sandton heading towards the Joburg CBD, traffic is a bit sluggish on the M1 southbound between Grayston and Athol Oaklands. Also in Edenvale heading towards Bedford View, expect some delays on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange in Brakpan. We still have slow-moving traffic heading towards Benoni. On Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones, while in the Mother City, there's that accident seen on the N1 outbound. This is approaching Lower Church. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance Pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a lady who's made a resolution to love herself more and put herself first this year. The Outsurance Pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new chapter on the move. Happy New Year to every story on the road. You're the reason the Outsurance Pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Hollywood Bets invites you to take the lead. The sizzling summer competition is giving you a chance to bask in horse racing glory and blaze into red-hot rewards. Bet 50 Rand or more on horse racing online or at your nearest branch, and you could win a share of 1 million Rand in prizes. Enjoy a star-studded lineup of equestrian events this summer and settle up for a season of success. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Afternoon, Mandy. Mr. Malema, when the whole story came out about him firing off guns at the cemetery, if he'd taken the stance of having two of those brass things and said, guys, I was stupid, I'm sorry, the whole thing would have gone away. But now he's argued and resisted and lied. He should now face the might of the law, and if he means going to jail for 5 years or 10 years, so be it. He's lived it, the lie. He must now suffer the consequences. Have a good afternoon, Tom.
Hi, Mandy. So, bottom line is, a significant leader in South Africa is able to stand up in public, discharge his firearm, basically threatening other communities, and the social worker, who has obviously been bought off by Malema and all of the people who are supporting him, and been forced to put a report together, which is absolutely ludicrous. That's the bottom line. If that's the norm in society, then let's all do it. Let's all brandish our weapons. Let's all discharge our weapons. Let's have a war in South Africa and use this case as a precedent for that purpose.
Morning, Mandy. Is there an ongoing investigation regarding that local municipality mayor from the Eastern Cape who was also caught on video discharging a firearm during an initiation ceremony?
Yeah, I think there is an investigation going on into that matter as well. Look, can you imagine if Julius Malema does get sent to jail for this? What the EFF will make of it, particularly in a local government election year. And we have to consider the possibility that's very much on the cards at the moment, that he could be sent to prison. My gut feel on this is that the courts will play it safe and will give him a non-custodian sentence. So it will be suspended. He's got to give money to Gun Free SA, but he's not exactly being contrite, is he? He's not exactly saying, oh no, I was wrong, I shouldn't have, and he can't from a political point of view at the moment. He discharged the firearm. Job Soprano was saying, Mandy, the point most are deliberately missing here is the fact that his protector can also be clearly seen handing the rifle over to Malema. This is a person deemed to be suitably trained, qualified and licensed to be in the responsibility of a war weapon like that, yet he got off scot-free. If you give your Mandy, your firearm Mandy, to someone who is unlicensed to operate a vehicle, car, and then they end up in an accident, are you not guilty of anything? Just asking for a friend. This wouldn't be the first time. Remember Mark Scott Crossley? Oh, that was, sure, I have to remind the people I work with about the Mark Scott Crossley case involving, no, they don't know. And remember, he was a farm worker, lions, I can't even remember the story. I was a reporter at the time. You'll correct me. But yes, this is the point though, is that on the evidence, he was found guilty. Does he go to prison? Do you believe he should go to prison? Do you think that it is a sufficient crime to go to prison, or do you think that there should be some other kind of sentence, community service, or something like that? Listening to what's happening at the moment.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
The Education Department holding a memorial service today for the 14 pupils killed in Monday's accident in Vanderbijl Park. Yesterday, the driver of that scholar transport vehicle, a 22-year-old Ayanda Dludla, appeared in court, abandoned a bid for bail. That matter postponed to March, but families, of course, reeling, and very emotional scenes today at that memorial service. Mongezi Koko still on the story for us. Mongezi, good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us today. I'm sure not an easy morning there at all.
A very good afternoon to you, Mandy. Indeed, it hasn't been an easy morning at all. In fact, we just witnessed one of the bereaved family members sort of fainting, causing the paramedics stationed here to intervene and, of course, medically assist her. But it's really been a morning of sadness and reeling. And we are seeing is hundreds of mourners gathering here in Sebokeng to pay their respects, of course, ahead of Sunday's funeral, which will also be joined. What we see in the front, just below the stage, are beautiful photos and portraits of the deceased victims and candles just lined up above those said portraits. People coming together, singing hymns, and of course, hugging the inconsolable families and just providing some level of support. It seems as though the focus today is fully on remembering those who have passed on for who they were and the roles that they played in each and everyone's lives here gathered today. And of course, not on the matters that are in court and of course, police investigation. So really a beautiful scene, but at the same time, equally sad, but a lot of people coming through to show support and to be there for the families in this very difficult time.
Mongezi, the great danger, of course, in an instance like this with so many children having died is that they become faceless. I know that there was a big controversy around AI images being used on social media, but what do we know about the children? I'm sure many stories being told there about individuals, their names, their faces, what they loved to do, who they were.
Mm-hmm. That's true, Mandy. Well, we haven't really gotten to the point where the families take to the stage to remember each and every single young learner, but we did manage to chat to some of the families and the spokespeople earlier today, and this is where they indicated a very common theme of how naughty the children were, but they were really, really caring, and the fond memories of how confident they were and how bright their futures seemed to be and how much is taken away from each and every single family. I'm going to give a specific example from the Khatebe family, which lost Bushe, who was in grade 12, and she was in grade 12 at the age of 16. They described how intelligent she was and how forward-thinking she was. She had the intentions of becoming a president, very fond memories, and of course saying that, they believe that this is God saying that it's time for their child to go, and they're fully happy that they had enough time with her, as they describe it, but wishing that they could spend a little bit more time with her. But the families essentially still remembering each and every single one of the learners who perished in this deadly crash as incredible human beings with their lives cut far too short.
And Mongezi, I imagine, aside from the memories and the emotional loss there, a huge amount of pressure coming from the families, from activists as well, for real reform when it comes to the scholar transport system and road accidents.
That's true, Mandy. This was also rehashed yesterday outside of court, where the families called for more arrests, saying that the driver sort of poses as low-hanging fruit, asking that this thing be reformed right through from the top. Taxi owners and associations that permit these drivers and these taxi owners to operate with children, saying that there really needs to be an overhaul of the guidelines that govern how these scholar transport vehicles operate. And of course, lamenting the fact that there are so many accidents ongoing, albeit not fatal. They say that this is clear as day, that these situations or this situation of scholar transport vehicles being unregulated and not strictly regulated is a cause for concern. They also made reference, Mandy, to what we saw earlier yesterday in the day, the Department of Transport hosting that surprise blitz in Lenasia, impounding over 60 vehicles, saying that that's just a small instance of showing how many scholar transport vehicles across the country are running lawless without law, and without any regulations, which is a cause for concern for the families. So the families still maintain that they want a complete overhaul but focusing primarily on their children for now.
Mongezi, thank you very much. Mongezi Koko, EWN reporter at that memorial service taking place, being led by the Education Department. Yesterday, I was on Twitter and I had a look at a clip that was posted by EWN of comments made by President Cyril Ramaphosa about the Scholar Transport accident. And I actually had to go back and listen a second time because I was so struck by what he said and the explanation that he gave. I want to share it with you. If you've heard it before, apologies, but I think it's really important because it says so much. But take a listen to what the president said on the sidelines of that education conference.
It's a whole range of issues. The type of transport that the children travel in. In other countries, there are these wonderful buses that are clearly written school bus, where a number of children get in and they travel not at breakneck speeds. The drivers are well trained, and we have inherited a system where there has been no real public transport for children to go to school. And so the taxi system then integrated itself in transporting children. And it's been good because we have been able to transport children to school. The government now needs to sit back and talk also to those who are actors now, the taxi owners and drivers, and see the extent to which we can work together to improve scholar transport.
We inherited a system. In 2026, 31 years into democracy, the president of this country is saying we inherited a system. Why can government not be proactive? Why do they have to be so reactive that you wait for an accident in which 14 children died to decide to introduce a scholar transport system that is respectable, that will make sure that our children are safe and protected, and that we're not held hostage by the taxi industry? It's utter madness that 31 years into democracy, we're still blaming a system that was inherited. Why have we not gone and introduced a new scholar transport system? It just baffles me. But more than anything, it infuriates me. I was so angry listening to what the president had to say.
The outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a nervous but excited first-time driver waiting for the perfect gap to switch lanes. I can do this. The pressure. The outsurance pointsman knows not just a car in traffic. It's a sense of freedom and independence on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one, get one offer, you get great value for money. Get a free pair of branded single vision prescription sunglasses up to 3,300 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye examination and spectacle frames with lenses on your first pair. The best part? Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Red Bull Spect and more. Affordable eye care? Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
Got big dreams for 2026? New goals, new adventures, new car? Don't wait. Let's jumpstart your January with up to 75,000 Rand cash back when you buy selected quality pre-owned cars from participating Motor Select dealerships nationwide. Don't wait for life to happen. Make it happen with Motor Select. Deal ends Saturday, 24 January. Hurry to motorselect.co.za now. T's and C's apply.
Sports Wrap.
Sports Wrap.
With Tolagele Mganga.
Let me regulate myself by talking about sport after my rage and anger at the president. That's generally what I do, is regulate myself by talking about sport. Tolakele, don't say anything that's going to infuriate me. Let's just talk about tennis.
It's been a great Australian Open so far. Lots of controversy. The big names are through, which is not a surprise. We always know that week one, a lot of them really shouldn't be struggling. Novak Djokovic, of course, you know what happened yesterday with Naomi Osaka and Serena.
Can you just explain that to people that don't follow tennis and didn't know what happened?
So Serena Christie's argument was, in between her serving, Naomi Osaka would whisper to herself, come on. And for her, she says it's disturbing her. Yes. Crowds normally do it, and then the umpire will call it out. Her argument is
why are you allowing an opponent, because she pointed out to the umpire, why are you allowing an opponent to do that to me? After all was said and done, it was time to shake hands. The handshake was frosty, and then there was post-match comments from Osaka where she was like, she didn't realize that her saying come on to herself was such a big deal. But then she ended up going to her press conference where she did actually apologize, because she was like, that's not the kind of person that she is. But it has created this debate of what is the proper etiquette in terms of when you're trying to hype yourself up because you haven't gotten your game at that level that you wanted. So I think it's going to bubble on for quite a few days, because I've seen the likes of Billie Jean King coming out and saying it's very unsportsmanlike of Naomi Osaka. But I also feel like other players like Igor Swiatek also have weird things that they do in between other people's serves, but we don't call it out. All of a sudden with Naomi Osaka, it's such a big deal to the point that the whole tennis world has to tell her that, no, get a grip, be kinder to other people.
And she's so fragile as it is, shame.
I don't like that word, Mandy.
Sorry.
Don't use that word.
Sorry.
But on Sunday, definitely a big game to look forward to. I know you liked her a lot last year. Victoria Mboko, she's up against world number 1 Irina Sabalenka.
All right, and that's going to be a power.
It's going to be beautiful, and I think now we're going to start to see the big names up against each other, which is going to make this Grand Slam even more exciting. Of course, you're looking to see if Madison Keys, her game is so on and off. You don't really see her defending this title, but I think the likes of Coco Gauff, she's also struggled in the early parts of the campaign. Maybe now that we're going into week 2, it can finally click and they can know what they have to do to win the Australian Open.
Keith, back-to-back wins for Minor United.
Listen, leave us alone. Hey, these are almost nice times. It's still nerve-wracking because the derby, with the emotion of everything that came with Michael Carrick taking the job, it's exciting because you're also playing at home. But you have to realize that if you beat Arsenal, you get to kind of derail their title championship, which is the only trophy that we're really going to win this season. So I'll take a win on Sunday. It'll be so much fun.
What else are we watching this weekend?
Tottenham Hotspur. Are we not what? Okay.
Told you, don't say anything that infuriates me.
Burnley.
You're on warnings.
They play Burnley, if it helps, who are in a relegation battle, and South Africans can watch Lyle Foster. And then there's lots of cricket to look forward to. Of course, the SA20. We've got the third eliminator.
Now.
It's like the third eliminator. I feel like if you're the second team playing the final, by the time you get to Sunday, you're like, I'm so tired, guys. I've been playing cricket.
So they've got to play like 3 times.
Yes, that's why it's so
madness.
important to finish top of that table. And when you're the Pretoria Capitals, you probably figured out the strategy of all 3 teams. I think the Joburg Super Kings, every year they come with the hype, and every year we just...
It's the hope that kills us.
That's the worst part. The Sunrisers Eastern Cape, they're so used to this. They're probably like, guys, let's just give other people
I'm
a
debating
chance.
who to support this afternoon.
Sunrisers. I have a soft spot for them because I remember...
But Royals have never won.
Listen, this tournament is for the big dogs. You don't win it for free. And for people that want to watch football, there's the Betway Premiership also taking place this weekend. It's not as many games. That's because we're also juggling CAF continental competitions. But Kaizer Chiefs fans and Stellenbosch fans, they know that their teams are involved in the CAF Confed Cup. Then Mamelodi Sundowns tonight at 6 p.m. They're up against Al Hilal. Once again, the club asking fans to turn up in their numbers because they are playing at Loftus.
Tolekele, thank you so much. Tolekele Mganga, wrapping up the weekend sport for us.
Good things.
Good things.
With Brent Lindecky.
And wrapping up the week for us on a good note, Brent Lindecky, the good things guy. Brent, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, man, and happy Friday to all of the 702 and Cape Talk listeners. It's great to be in studio with you again.
Well, you're in studio in spirit.
In spirit, by telephone, kind of. Great to be on the phone with you.
Tell us about the car guard who asked for washing detergent for his son.
This is such a sweet story. As we know, a lot of kids went back to school this week, and South African celeb Kyle Kasim was at a local shopping center, and a car guard approached him very humbly, asking him to buy him detergent so that he could wash his child's school clothes. His son was going to grade 8. And Kyle was so taken aback, just thinking how he could possibly help in that moment, that he went into the supermarket and he bought a whole bunch of things, not just detergents. He bought stationery, he bought a whole bunch of food, he bought like school stuff, and also a lunchbox. And then when he went outside, he asked the car guard what his son's name was. and the car guard explained that his son's name is Dudu, and Carl wrote the most beautiful letter to this grade 8 student, just telling him that he's got it, it's going to be a great year, and the fact that his father reached out to a stranger means that his father loves him so, so much, and he must always remember that. And I just think it's a really cool story. It's a reminder that sometimes we can give back with little bits that we have, and that might be the biggest things that help other people in South Africa.
What a great story, and well done to Carl. That's beautiful. Tell us about a student's graduation that was saved by strangers.
Yeah, obviously we're on a student train this week with sort of all schools going back and varsities and all sorts. But a security officer's daughter was graduating. Her name's Nicolette, and she's a really good student. She was doing really well, but obviously dependent on funding. And over the course of her studies, she'd racked up a debt or a balance of 76,000 Rand. And obviously then she's not going to be able to get her degree. She's not going to be able to get that certificate to say that she's finished her studies. And so she took to social media, started a crowdfunding campaign, and obviously people were giving their 100 Rands and 200 Rands to help her reach that 76,000 Rand target. But the beautiful story here is that an anonymous donor, she was a few amounts had come in, and she was still very much down on what she needed. And an anonymous donor donated 63,885 Rand into that crowdfunding campaign, and all they left as a message was a heart. That's all that they left. And I think it's just so beautiful. Obviously, not everybody's got that amount of money to donate to someone else. But with that, Nicolette is now sitting at over 90,000 Rand, which means she can pay off all of her loans, she can graduate, and she can go on to join the working force in South Africa, which is just a beautiful story.
Amazing that it was anonymous and just a heart. And sometimes there are angels out there that do things just for the sake of doing them, not for the accolades. What a great story. And this is also just a great South African story as well about our young kids that won the Cape to Rio yacht race.
So this gets me so excited. For years and years and years, I followed the Cape to Rio race and sort of seen when South African teams enter and how they do. And the Alex Forbes Angel Wings, the night before the end of the race, something on their boat, and I'm not the greatest sailor, so I'm going to get it wrong, but something on their boat called a boom broke the night before. And apparently it's quite integral to sailing. But this team of 6 from the Cape Flats managed to not only finish the race, they won it this year. And I think that's just such a great accolade to working together, to getting through tough times when your boat breaks and making it to the end. They are on their way back to South Africa. They're sailing back. And I'm hoping that when they do get back, I'll be able to sit down with them. But what a beautiful story, raising the South African flag and going on to win that very difficult race.
Brenty, last week you told us about the helpers that you launched last week. How's it going?
Man, I'm so incredibly excited. So we've officially got 200 organizations that are listed on the helpers.co.za. We've got numerous people coming to the site every single day looking for help. So obviously the site exists for 2 reasons. It's a space for charities and organizations to list themselves for free. And that's for advertising and also to get donations and such. But it's also a place for South Africans to get help. So if you're looking for some sort of help, if you're looking for a charity, this is where you're going to find them. It's the helpers.co.za. And let me tell you, there's 200 charities that have gone through the full registration process. We've got about 150 more in the back end that we're just trying to get all the details and set them up correctly. But it's so exciting to see that the platform is actually working. People are using it for exactly what it is. It's really cool.
That's very cool. I love to hear that it's growing, and it's just a great repository of how people can help each other. It's just very, very cool. Brent, thank you so much for bringing us the good news and for spreading the good news always.
Thank you, man. And to all of the listeners, as I say every single Friday, wishing you only good things.
Only good things. Brent Lindeku, the good things guy.
The Midday Report.
Thank you very much for joining us, whatever you're doing this weekend. I hope you have a great time. The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk was brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. It's 1:00.
This is EWN.
ConCourt sends Charlotta's prosecution back to High Court, and social worker in Malema gun trial advises against direct imprisonment. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. The Constitutional Court has remitted the case against Morwadi Charlotta, the former personal assistant to Ace Magashule, back to the High Court. The Apex Court handed down a ruling today in Charlotta's extradition case in which the NPA was appealing a High Court ruling. Last year,